Continuing series of debates ahead of the August 28th primary. Early ballots hit voters' mailboxes this weekend. Today, the two Democratic candidates running for school superintendent. Who are they, and what does the school superintendent really do? Here's a hint: the superintendent doesn't run Arizona schools. Arizona school superintendent is in charge of doling out $6 billion in state and federal funding for school programs, also putting legislative action into effect, like the state school voucher program or AZ merit testing, and compiling data on how students and schools are performing. But the job also gives the superintendent a statewide platform to influence change in our schools. Two Democrats are running for the job, now held by Republican Diane Douglas. Kathy Hoffman is making her first run for office. She's been a public school teacher for 5 years. Right now, she's a speech therapist for the Peoria Unified School District. She has degrees from the University of Arizona and the University of Oregon. David Schapira is a former state legislator, a former Tempe City Council member, and a former school board member. He served as the top administrator at EVIT, that's a tech and career high school for East Valley students. Schapira is married with 2 children. And let's welcome Kathy Hoffman and David Schapira. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Here are the ground rules for today's debate. This will be a moderated conversation with the candidates. I do not time the answers. I just ask that each candidate be respectful of each other's time. My job is to ensure you get equal time with this warning. Please, no filibusters. Let's get going. Kathy Hoffman, you've aired a TV ad that has one anonymous woman accusing David Schapira of being a bully. You also claim, quote, countless women have come forward with experiences like that. That is a sweeping claim. What evidence do these women have to back it up? What evidence do you have of these countless women coming forward?
Well, I think it's very important to make clear that we're dealing with a situation in which a person has immense political power. Some of these women have already been threatened with legal action for making negative comments, and so there is evidence out there, and I think that the real question should go to David as to why women in these positions did feel bullied, why they felt intimidated in their workplace. And when I'm superintendent of public instruction, and the reason that I put this forward is because I think it's critically important that our superintendent cultivate a work environment in which people feel respected and supported, and that's the type of leadership that I'll bring to the department.
Okay, so I'll ask again. This is a sweeping claim. Countless women. There is no evidence presented anywhere. You wrote this on Medium. What evidence do you have of this bullying? Do you have any evidence?
Well, the women are willing to talk to the press about this if you would like to reach out to some of them.
Do you have any evidence of this bullying? Countless women.
The women are willing to speak in private. They're not willing to go public because their personal and professional livelihoods are at risk when they speak out against an elected official.
How many women are you talking about?
Over the course of my campaign, there have been many women, and I will say that it has spread across many different work environments, at EVIT, in school board positions. And again, I think that we need to clarify that there's a difference between being a passionate person and getting the job done, and a woman feeling intimidated in the workplace and feeling bullied, feeling acts of aggression. And so I just want to make sure that that contrast is there, and bring it back to the fact that this is a critically important issue because we're talking about the future of our schools, people who are going to be going into the classroom, and that's why it's important.
Okay, I want to give David Schapira a chance to respond, sir.
So the bullying accusation is a really surprising one. This is an issue that I've worked on throughout my career. When I was in school, I was bullied for being different, for being a different religion, being Jewish, one of the only Jewish kids in my school. And so when I got into public life, I made it part of my mission to try and ensure that kids did not have to go through what I went through, and that educators were treated as professionals. And so when I was in the legislature, I ran legislation to create a statewide anti-bullying initiative. And unfortunately, it didn't get through the House, but the Democrats in the Senate still run that bill today. It's an issue I've been passionate about throughout my career. And I will say, you know, I've seen the world from Kathy's perspective before, having been a classroom teacher. When I had issues that came up with students or with faculty members or parents, and I had to be the one to go to administration and plead my case and try and get those situations resolved. But the difference between Kathy and myself is I've also seen it from the administrator perspective, from this perspective as a school leader, the person who educators would come to when they were having problems. And sometimes when you're trying to resolve conflicts between educators or between a teacher and a parent, you have to make hard decisions, and not everybody is going to walk away from those decisions and conversations happy with the outcome or the solution. And so because I've been in leadership for years now at the legislature, on the school board, and as a school leader, certainly there's going to be people who have not walked away happy with decisions, and there's people who many people have come out. We'll have a video on our Facebook page today of lots of folks that I've worked with over the years who've had great experiences and feel like you know, I've made decisions that have been supportive of students and educators.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the job itself. If you're elected superintendent at the end of 4 years in office, David Schapira, what do you want to say you accomplished?
Well, one, we need to end the teacher crisis. This last school year, we had 2,000 teacher vacancies across the state. I'm hearing really disturbing trends across the state this week and next week as teachers are starting to look at their rosters. They're, you know, next week when school starts in a lot of districts across the state, we have kindergarten teachers that have 40 students in their classroom. I taught geometry. I heard of a geometry teacher that had 46 students. And that is because we have an immense shortage in this state. We have to end the teacher shortage crisis by ensuring that there's great compensation for educators to attract and retain them in the profession. We have better working conditions, which include smaller class sizes. And we have respect for educators from our leaders at the state capitol, which has been lacking for too long.
Same question, Kathy Hoffman. What do you want to accomplish at the end of 4 years?
Absolutely. I'm running for this office because I have felt that our elected officials and our state government had failed us. Most recently, we have heard Diane Douglas say that she was not elected to represent teachers. I plan to bring a voice to the teachers, elevate the voice of my students and teachers when I am office. I want throughout my tenure as superintendent to make sure that teachers do feel supported, and one way that I plan to do that is to be lobbying for things like paid maternity and paternity leave, making sure that teachers have good health care options, making sure that fighting for our teachers to have competitive pay. And I do believe that the teacher crisis is the greatest challenge facing our state right now as well, because that does affect classroom sizes, it does affect workload, and so that is the most critical issue right now.